Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day of the webinar on the development of digital economy in Southeast Asia and Taiwan, trade policy, business opportunities, and impacts of major regional trade agreements. If you're here with us yesterday, welcome back. This webinar is jointly organized by the Taiwan Coalition of Service Industries and the Taiwan ASEAN Studies Center of the Chonghua Institution for Economic Research, and is supported by the Ministry of Economic Affairs and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Republic of China, Taiwan. Before we begin, let me remind all participants that we welcome all questions regarding our topic today. Please do not hesitate to ask questions or share comments in the chat box. Our distinguished speakers will answer them during the panel discussion after concluding their presentation. 在此也特别提醒需要公务人员时数的与会朋友，请务必填写本场会议的意见调查表，并在此表单中填写完整的个人资料。今天和明天的意见调查表需各填一次，谢谢。Distinguished colleagues, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, we looked into the development and prospects of digital economy from more of a regional perspective. We had an overview of how the digital economy in this region is evolving and a fruitful discussion on the possible cooperation between Taiwan, Southeast Asia, and beyond to push forward in this area. Today, we have among us another group of prominent speakers to share and discuss with us an important aspect of the digital economy, which is the development of e-commerce in this region. I'm most certain that our speakers today will bring us informative and inspiring content on this topic. So without further ado, allow me to introduce our moderator for the following session, Mr. James Liu, Liu Ruilong 副理事长, Vice Chairman of the Taiwan Coalition of Service Industries. It is also my pleasure to present you our distinguished speakers for today's session. First, we have Ms. Woranath Khemasiri, Senior Manager from PwC, Taiwan.
Hi, everyone.
Next, we have Mr. Larry Phan, Commercial Manager from Shopline Limited, Vietnam.
Hello, everybody.
And last but not least, we have Ms. Dai Fanzhen, Director General of the International Digital Commerce Research Division of the Commerce Development Research Institute, Taiwan. Now, before I pass the time to our moderator, may I ask our moderator and speakers to take a group photo online together with us? Now, please look into your webcams and smile, and let me do the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And without further ado, Mr. James, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jasper. Distinguished speakers and all participants from Taiwan and across the region, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to attend this webinar, the development of the digital economy in Southeast Asia and Taiwan. This is the second day of the program. We already talked about digital economy yesterday, and we will focus on e-commerce today. My name is James Liu, the Deputy Chairman of CSI Taiwan. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you for your valuable time to join the webinar, and I wish you fruitful achievements this afternoon. As you know, digital transformation is already the hottest topic in the world. At the very beginning, everybody just talk about it, yet it's the time now to deploy it. Although the COVID-19 has impacted the world for more than 2 years, by means of a major regional trade agreement such as CPTPP and RCEP, people are looking for more business opportunities and solutions to current challenges. The CSI Taiwan Coalition Service Industry and the CIER Chonghua Institution of Economic Research Taiwan ASEAN Studies Center therefore work with the Ministry of Economic Affairs and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of China, Taiwan to organize this webinar and invite 3 professionals from the region representing Thailand, Vietnam, and Taiwan for the panel discussion. We will firstly have three short speeches, a short break, and then the panel discussion. Today's program will close at about 5 p.m. Taiwan time, or 4 p.m. in the region, like Thailand, Vietnam, 5 p.m. in Singapore. Now let's welcome our first speaker, and I'll introduce the other two later. Our first speaker, Ms. Woranath Khemasiri, the Senior Manager of PricewaterhouseCoopers Taiwan. She has the academic degree of both Thailand's and Taiwan's university. As a professional advisor, Woranath has been a lecturer for cross-border investment for leading university in Taiwan, and also a speaker for government authorities in Taiwan and Thailand. She will address the topic of the development of e-commerce in Thailand and the business response and strategy in the next 25 minutes. Now let's welcome Woranath. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, James, for your introduction. Let me share my slide with everyone, and we can take a look for my presentation and what I'm going to share today. Okay. สวัสดีค่ะ Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Woranath Khemasiri. I'm from PwC, Taiwan. It's really my pleasure today to be invited as a speaker of this webinar. Today, I would like to present and share the topic with the development of e-commerce in Thailand and business response and strategies. First of all, I would like to thank all organizers and the co-organizer, including the sponsor of this event. I believe the digital economy is the interesting topic of our business among the region, no matter what in the Southeast Asia Pacific or all over the world. Let's start with my background and my experience. I'm responsible for the cross-border investment, like the introduction before. We assist a lot of Taiwanese companies to invest in Southeast Asian market. And also, we also help our client to list in Taiwan stock market and also overseas markets as well. Today, my topic, I will cover for the full agenda. The first one, I will let everyone take a look for the overview of e-commerce survey in Thailand. This survey conducted by the Electronic Transactions Development Agency that we call ETDA. The second part, I will let everyone to get into more detail. We can see what is the next normal consumer of e-commerce, what the consumer behavior will look like after the pandemic. The third part, we will take a briefly look in the deal structure. Why the deal structure will be the important business trend in the e-commerce. The last part, I will give the high-level introduction and the brief understanding about Thai tax and legal update. When you take a look at the e-commerce, what is the thing that you need to consider? Let's start with the first part, the survey from ETDA. Last year, our Thailand ETDA conducted a survey to interview 900,000 companies who register under the Thai government database. The question that we asked them is, what do you think about your business so far? And what is your strategy, also the value of your business in e-commerce? We can have a look for the graph on your left-hand side. Based on the e-commerce value, what I would like to emphasize is, we can see that the value and the figures from 2000 to 2020, significant drop from 2019. I think the question that come up to your mind might be, why? Because the pandemic should help a lot for the e-commerce and everyone transferred to use the online platform. However, in Thailand, tourism industry really important for our economic value. When the pandemic hit Thailand, it affect a lot for this particular industry. So the consumer behavior, they cannot book through the online platform. Let's say the hotel booking, airline, or other kind of related services. That's why it's also affect to the e-commerce value of Thailand. But when we take a look for the e-commerce value by category, you can see that the majority of the value by category is for B2C. I think this part is quite common for every country, including Thailand as well. However, when you look into detail, when we compare between B2G, B2B, and B2C, you can see on the graph, that the trend of B2G is upward since 2017 to 2021. Because for Thai governments, they also try very hard to digitalize all government services. For example, you can pay any utilities fee through the online platform, or you can apply for government subsidies for the online platform as well. This is the very big thing for the Thai government, that they try to conduct the Thai Stand 4.0 and also the smart city plan in Thailand. This is also the business opportunity for among all foreign investors that are looking in Thailand for the e-commerce industry. And we take a look when we see the value of e-commerce by sales channels. The first one is e-tailer, which means the website or the mobile application that implemented by the store themselves. This part always stands as a major of sales channel in e-commerce in Thailand. The first thing that I would like to emphasize will be the social media or the social commerce. In Thailand, the most popular social commerce based on the survey is Facebook, because Thais also rely a lot on Facebook when they want to shop or buy or see the influencer to share their opinion of the product. And the other thing in the sales channels that I would like to emphasize is ride-hailing platform, which means the food delivering or the carpooling platform. It's not just only of the pandemic, but in Bangkok, it related to the consumer behavior, because we always have traffic jam if you ever been in Bangkok before. That's why many Thais in Bangkok also used to use this kind of services more and more, and will be expand even more in the future. When we take a look of the payment channel, this also related to the sales channels that I just mentioned before, because when you rely on the payment channel to do the e-tailer, most of the way that the consumer will use absolutely is for the banking app or do the online payments. However, we see from the trend of the survey that the omni-channel, which means the mix between online shopping and also over-the-counter payments, might be the trend that we need to catch up or focus on. Because now in Thailand, many department stores, they can let customer buy things online. And the customer also can go to the department store to pick up the thing and pay over the counter also. This is the brief introduction for the value of e-commerce in Thailand. So we take a look into the next normal consumer e-commerce. Not just only EDTA that conduct the survey regarding e-commerce. Our PwC Global also conduct the survey to ask the consumer in 26 territories all over the world, include Thailand as well. Our survey asks the consumer what the perspective, what to think about their behavior or the consumption after the pandemic. We found out the most 6 significant findings, as you can see on my slide here. However, today I would like to emphasize 2 things, which include smartphone. Shopping is at historic high, and the other part, data privacy is key to consumer trust. Let's start with the smartphone shopping. I think this is a trend for all countries, including Thailand, that more than also a half of people or the consumer, they change to rely on the mobile or smartphone for the shopping or the consumption. But the first question that the clients also ask us is, so maybe we just should ignore or just maybe erase our brick and mortar stores, which means the physical store. That you need to build up, go in and pick up the things, and we just go online. Is the correct strategy for us? Based on our survey here, the answer is very interesting. Take a look here. When we ask the respondents in the last 12 months, how on bought products using in-store or the mobile application, you can among region here, Malaysia, Thailand, and also Singapore, they also shop in-store and also on mobile as well, which means that it's not just only you change permanently to online. It might have to be the mixed strategy. The important thing about the store is the location. The respondents said they're willing to go to shop in the store if the location is close to their workplace or close to where they live. So this is the strategy that we talk with our clients, that you need to look at your product segmentation and also need to look at what you want to sell, who you want to sell to, and you can put up the mix strategy. The next topic is the data privacy. I think this topic is really really hot topic for every industry, especially in e-commerce. The consumer said that during the pandemic, they also use a lot of online things. That's why data privacy, especially for their personal data, is really, really important for them. Include Thailand as well, which you can see on the answer here. The thing that I would like to mention more is the consumer. They don't just look on your ESG policy, but they want you to listen to them. They want to hear that you also want to hear what they think, and you're concerned about the problem. This is the way that we figure out that you can build the consumer trust, and this trust can influence how can they buy or not buy your product. And for Thailand, in this year, Thailand also will implement Personal Protection Data Act, which means every single company in Thailand need to care more about the data privacy. I will talk about this topic in my last presentation. For the data privacy, we come up with one word, which called conscious consumerism. What is this? Which means the consumer, they don't just look for the product and the price like before. What they think is beyond that. They also think about the sustainability. They also look at your brand, at your company. Do you have the plan for the long-term sustainability? Or you have some social responsible? This is the key point that consumer also puts in their mind when they want to make a decision, will they buy your product or not? And not just only the B2C that we talk about here. For the B2B or the manufacturer, our PwC US also conduct a survey and also public the research that maybe this is a time that manufacturers need to consider and think about how can they change from the old school way and implement some e-commerce program. We understand that it's not that easy for B2B because the product that we sell is not a common that we sell to the individual customers. That's why we have the concept which called capture value through your e-commerce. What does this mean? You can look at the diagram here. Let's say if we want to have the value that you want to put up some content channels, which means you want your client to understand more about your product. They can do the research online and put up with your digital marketing. This part, you can use the e-commerce program to put it more and rely on e-commerce more. However, in the thing that you must need someone in person. For example, some complex products, also some after-sales services that you need someone to talk with the client. That part, it might not be the thing that you want to have some e-commerce strategy. So we conclude that not everything can be done at once, but this thing, it will work for your long-term consideration. And the third section that I mentioned before, we will take a look at the deal structure that reflect in the e-commerce market and also in our consumer markets as well. Based on our survey to the global M&A trends, we see that in global and also in Asia Pacific, you can see on the graph here that the trend of the M&A in consumer markets and also in digital economy is in the upward, increasing more and more, especially in the retail and consumer section. What is the reason behind that? The reason behind that is when you need to go to the new markets, especially when you need to sell something online, you might need a partner who can understand the local market, who can speak the language, especially in Southeast Asian markets. And also you need the resource that can support what you don't have. That's why M&A will be the trend that business will use as the next strategy for their e-commerce expansion. So we can see in Southeast Asia and also in Thailand, Alibaba also acquire and invest in Lazada, and they also expand a lot more and more. Same as in Thai, we have the company that called A-Commerce. This company also is in the process to list in Thailand stock market. A-Commerce also say that they plan to acquire the company in Vietnam and also in Malaysia to expand their business throughout Southeast Asian markets. Not just only the M&A part, for the joint venture is also the trend that we can see obviously in e-commerce in Thailand. For example, PC Home, who is the leading firm of e-commerce in Taiwan, also partner with Qualcomm in Thailand, so they can expand and enter e-market in Thailand easier. Same as the Thai side, Central Group, who is the leading retailer in Thai market, also partnership with JD.com from China, that they can make and expand their e-commerce platform to all Thai consumer, and perhaps also can expand to Southeast Asian markets as well. So you can see the trend of the deal structure influence and affect a lot for the e-commerce and consumer market in Thailand. For the last part, I will give the high-level update for the tax and legal that you might need to consider if you want to go to Thailand and expand your e-commerce business. The first thing that I mentioned before, PDPA, Thailand Personal Data Protection Act, will be implemented in this year, around June. So we conduct a survey to ask all Thai companies, are you ready for that? The answer that we have is 51% of companies said, yes, we're ready. We have started to implement it. However, they always come up with the issue that, but we don't have enough team. We don't have enough manpower. We don't have enough professional resources to help us for this. So we get the feedback is, even though the company are alert for this thing, but they really need some professional advisor or the team that can help them to implement it. And the last topic, digital service tax. I think this digital service tax topic have been discussed a lot in Europe, US, and also in Southeast Asia as well. Also in Thailand, Thailand Tax Authority implemented this tax law last year. This tax law covers all the non-resident operators who sells and provide the services outside Thailand. Only focus on the value added VAT. This part, you can take a look easy, like if you are non-resident that you sell your report in Thailand. The first question that we figure out from our clients, but we provide the service through Google and Apple. So is Google or us that need to do this thing? The answer from Thai Tax Authority said that if you do any service through the electric platform operator, then it's not your responsibility to do this part. It will be Google or Apple that will help you to submit the VAT report. But I think there is so much information about this part. If you have any question, maybe we can have a talk in the Q&A or later after our presentation today. Before I finish, I will have some key takeaway to give to our audience here to remind you what I really want to mention during my presentation. Technology is changing how we do business. Thailand's growing e-commerce market is really focused on the mobile application and also the online banking. Conscious consumerism is really the trend that the consumer care more about your sustainability, care more about how you listen to them. It's not like the old school that we used to use it before. And the part that is really important, if you want to do the new thing, no matter what is the business strategy or you want to go to the new market, right strategy, right approach is the thing that you need to keep in mind for your long-term achievement. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks to Woranath for her excellent speech introducing us the value of the e-commerce in Thailand, such as the smartphone shopping at a historical high, and 7 things for manufacturers to consider. So we can discuss some more at the panel discussion later if you have any questions. So all right, our next speaker, Mr. Larry Pan, he is the commercial manager in Shop9. He ever worked at the Shopee Food in July 2020 through April 2021. So besides strategic plan to develop and innovate the digital products to adapt to the market, he is also experienced at the merchants acquisitions from the Vietnamese market. He's going to give us a 25-minute speech about the development of e-commerce in Vietnam and the business response and the strategies. Now let's welcome Larry. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. James. Hi, everyone. I would like to share my slide. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Larry. I'm from Vietnam. And today I'm very honored and proudly to join the webinar. And thank you for all the organizers. So a little bit of an introduction about myself. I'm currently working in Shopline as the commercial manager. Actually, Shopline, we are operating in Taiwan and other Asian countries, including Vietnam. And besides that, I was working in 2 biggest platforms of e-commerce in Vietnam. That was Shopee and Lazada. So today I'm here for 3 reasons. Firstly, based on my practical experience, I would like to share my point of view and observation about the Vietnamese e-commerce market. And I hope that it's going to be helpful for you. Second one, it would be great when I can get updated from the other speakers and audience about the Asian market. And the third one, for the Taiwanese brands or any ideas that you want to expand to Vietnamese market, me and my company, we are willing to be a great connection so that we can connect based on my personal email on the slide. Okay, so I will go through the agenda for my presentation. There will be 3 main parts. Firstly, market overview in Vietnam in the last 3 years post-COVID. The second one, we'll go to see what are the big 3 e-commerce platforms. And the third one, I will pick the very popular trends in Vietnamese market last year to show you. For the first part, market overview. Firstly, last 2 years, I think that Vietnam and other countries, we suffer the pandemic of the COVID-19. So in the last 2 years, actually, we have 2 phases. 1.5 years, the government decided to go with the policy of zero COVID. And after that, in the last 6 months up to now, the government switched to the adoption to the COVID. So actually, in 1.5 years with zero COVID, that was a very major event that motivated the e-commerce market in Vietnam that adopt to digital transformation faster, because there was some big months, there was 2 months that we totally locked down, and me and my family or everybody, we cannot go out even to buy food. Only the shippers are allowed to go. So that you can imagine that without the mobile app or the e-commerce, we cannot actually survive good through that pandemic. So here's the roughly potential market in Vietnam. So last year in 2001, the market size of Vietnam was $21 billion. That was the 3rd ranking after Thailand and Indonesia. But during 5 years up to now, it was predicted that the Vietnamese market can be the 2nd biggest market in Southeast Asia that can reach $57 billion. Why? Because that prediction was based on 2 reasons. Firstly, the amount of new users in Vietnam can be increased a lot. And the second part, with the current user, their spending on e-commerce can be improved much more. I will show you more on the 4 elements on the picture of the right-hand side. 70% of population in Vietnam access to the internet, it means that we have the room for 30% more of users to access to the internet. About the adoption speed, 8 million new users connect to the e-commerce in the first half of 2021. It means that 8 million equals somehow to 8% of the populations. And also for the current online user, 70% of the consumers spend only around $250 per year. And that number, I strongly believe that it can be increased much more compared to our salaries. And also the fourth element is very important, Gen X, which is the older generations, and non-urban, which are usually two.
Hello, Larry. You may turn off your video. Hi, Larry. You may turn off your video. Okay,
I actually turn my video on.
You can turn off your video. Turn off.
Turn
Okay,
off video.
Go. Yeah. To get a better quality of the communication, you may turn off your video. So go ahead, please, Larry, please.
Okay. Okay, I continue with my slides. So this is the overall potential market in Vietnam of the e-commerce. So now I will go to the more detail about the three biggest platforms of e-commerce in Vietnam. So in Vietnam, we have actually more than three, but there were on the screen was three biggest platforms in Vietnam, which is Lazada.
Excuse me, sorry, Larry, because we lost you for around two minutes back then. Can you go back a few slides?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't notice that.
Lost connection just now. Yes. So you can switch off your webcam and continue on with your presentation. Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. Oh, sorry for that one. So just there is the connection issue. Okay.
Yes,
so
yes.
You can see my camera and the screen also, right?
It would be better if you switch off your camera and jump back a few slides.
Okay. Okay, so I will back again with the slide of the e-commerce. So what my main point here is that the currently Vietnam at the third ranking in the Southeast Asia. But in the next 5 years, it was predicted that we can be the second one based on two reasons. First one, the amount of...
I'm so sorry, Larry, but your presentation slide is not coming up. So let us share it for you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we start from this slide?
Yeah, next slide, please.
Okay, just let us know when to go to the next slide. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Please
okay.
Continue.
Okay, so I will back my main point is that so based on the two main things, that is the amount of new users gonna join the Vietnamese e-commerce platform, which is we have 30% of the population not access to the internet. And second one, we have the very high speed of adoption of the new user. That 8 million new user in first half that join the e-commerce equals somehow 8 to 9% of our population. And for the current online user, we have 71% of consumer that spend under $250 per year. And I strongly believe that number can be improved much more based on our salary bench. And the fourth element is that the older generation, which is Generation X, and non-urban usually are two segments that adopt the e-commerce very late. But last year we record that 84% of Generation X and 4.5 million non-urban in Vietnam that joined the e-commerce platform. So the next slide, I will go detail about the two biggest platforms in Vietnam. So as you can see, in Vietnam, the three biggest platforms, that was Lazada, mainly invested by Alibaba, Shopee, mainly invested by C Group, Tiki was the local Vietnamese firm, but now they actually got the investment from other foreigners company. So here on the screen, there was a very important metrics for the e-commerce, that is the average monthly traffic by million. So we can see that Shopee actually has a very high traffic compared to Lazada and Tiki, and also they have 70% of the market share. But we cannot give a conclusion that if you are a seller and you want to sell online, you need to go to Shopee. It is not true yet, because besides the traffic, we also need to consider other segments. For example, Tiki, they are focusing on the very good quality, and if you are a merchant want to sell on Tiki, you need to have a lot of procedures. While in Shopee, the procedure for onboarding is very easy. So also Shopee got the current issue to control the quality and also the price competition, because they have too many merchants. In the other hand, Lazada chose the midway between Shopee and Tiki in the term of amount of merchants and also their traffic. Next slide, please. Next, I want to show you very interesting finding. That was a survey based on the top 1,200 search SKU on the Vietnamese e-commerce platform. And we found that 17% of the SKU was the local commodities, and 83% that was imported brands. So that number speaks a lot about the difference between the local commodities and also the foreigner imported commodities. On each platform, actually Tiki has higher rate of local commodity because they are more prefer of the local stuff. But Lazada and Shopee, you can see that the number is much more lower. So there are 4 reasons why the foreigners or imported commodity have more ratio. First one, in Vietnam, the SME can import the merchandise easier than last 3 years. And now we have many services to sourcing from the Tmall, from the Taobao for the Vietnamese merchant. The second reason is that the foreigner brands and distributors from other countries, for example, Taiwan, can expand directly to Vietnamese market. The third reason, many e-commerce platforms currently support the cross-border. For example, Lazada Global, they also support the Chinese merchant to sell directly on Lazada Vietnam. And the fourth reason, the nature of our e-commerce inside, that many merchants can actually dropship and they don't even have the commodity, so they just do the dropship for the bigger distributions. Okay, next slide, please. So we just go through from the platform and also the merchant side. So now I want to show about the buyer behaviors. So the word new normal and digital transformation, as the story I tell before, that really trigger the purchasing behavior of the buyer in Vietnam. So last year, the average platforms the user used was 8.2 platforms, and that number was 1.4 uplift versus the 2020. And the categories the user purchase also increased up to 7.7 categories. The spending per online user every year was $240. And one more important thing is that most of the payments in Vietnam, the buyer prefer the cash on delivery. 78% was cash delivery. That number compared to other in Asia is much more higher. But compared to 2020, that was 89%. So it was slightly dropped down. Next slide, please. So about the buyer behavior. So when the buyer in Vietnam, they go online, here is some criteria that they prefer before they make a decision to buy. The first one was the brand name of the e-commerce platform was the very important thing. So that Lazada, Shopee, and Tiki was actually the three trusted platforms in Vietnam. So for the second, we can see the number is very equal, that including promotions, logistic policy, cheaper price, and brand name and quality. I will pick the logistic, for example. Lazada and Shopee in the last 2 years, they strongly give the key message that when you buy online, you are free ship.
Sorry, are you there?
Yes. Hi, James.
Okay, can you can you back about 1 minute?
Sorry,
Oh.
Larry, we lost you again just now, maybe due to some connection problem.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry for that.
It's okay, please continue.
Yes.
Okay.
For the buyer behavior. So when I'm talking back about the buyer behavior, so the criteria the customer prefer when they go online, that was the e-commerce brand name, was the top one. Also promotion, logistic, and brand name quality was also the second one the buyer prefer when they choose to buy online. The logistic in Vietnam, Shopee and Lazada give the key message to the customer that when they go online, they are free ship. They give the message during 2 years. So now the customer in Vietnam, they get familiar with the free shipping when they purchase online. So for the quality commodity, because Lazada and Shopee, they have the very kind of easy onboarding process. So it is quite difficult to differentiate between the good quality and the bad quality. So Lazada, they offer the Lazada Mall, and Shopee have the Shopee Mall, which means 100% quality. Tiki is the only brand, the only platform that offer 100% original commitment, because when you want to buy, you want to sell on Tiki, all the procedure and onboarding process need to be cross-checked very carefully. Next slide, please. So I want to pick one very important trend in Vietnam last year, that was live stream. And this is the very good tips for the merchant who intended to sell in Vietnam. Because during the lockdown, live stream was the only channel that connect during the lockdown, that people feel connected with each other. So every day on the social media, there was 70K to 80K daily live campaign. And also on the e-commerce, for example, Lazada record the increase of 120% during the lockdown. On the picture, that was one of our success case, that the seller is actually not a company. This is just a household seller, and she doesn't have the brand name for the product. She only imported from the foreign countries like China. But every day, based on the live stream, she can deliver thousands of orders daily. Okay, so for the last slide, please, next slide, please. I want to summarize some opportunities and challenges for a merchants who want to sell online in Vietnam. So first one, in Vietnam, we have the fully supported and motivated by the government. There are two important decrees. That was important that the government decide that they need from now to 2025, Vietnam can digitalize all the government system and also the private system to adapt with the technology. The second one, the COVID actually give a push the transformation process faster than we thought. And the third one, we are a young and dynamic market with a very big room to grow. In the other hand, because we are a very young market, we face some challenges related to quality and origin control. It's actually not tight yet. Actually, the government decided to go step by step, and currently we decide to pick some categories that is important. For example, the drug or the functional medicines. For that kind of stuff, there is a must that have the license and origin certificate before you sell online. But for the fashions or the general merchandise, when the sell online currently is kind of easy. The second one, the local merchant face a challenge toward the technology. The local merchant, they know that they need to go online to digitalize, but actually they are lack of skills to adopt with the technology. So that's why there's a very big chance for the B2B business, especially for the solution related to e-commerce. For example, our company Shopline, we offer the solution to support the local merchant grow better. The third one, logistics in Vietnam is not optimized yet. During the e-commerce peak time, there are lack of human resource to deliver, and also the infrastructure to support the logistics is not good yet. We are improving on that. And the fourth one is also the cash on delivery is still high. So that can impact the high cancellation rate, and also the recognize from the money that the shipper received. So it's gonna be more complex. So that's all for my sharing, and thank you for your attention.
Okay, thanks to Larry for his excellent speech. We know Vietnam market size in 2021 is third ranking, and Shopee, Tiki, and Lazada, the top 3 players in Vietnam. People lack cash on delivery, but in that regard, how to run the B2B e-commerce. So we can have a further talk on this at the panel discussion later if you have any questions. So, all right, let's welcome our third speaker, Dr. Phan Minh Lộc. She is the Director General of the International Digital Commerce Research Division, associated with the Commerce Development Research Institute, we call CDRI. The CDRI is a government-sponsored think tank dedicated to developing and implementing industry cultivation policy. So Dr. Tai and her team's focal areas are the internet economy and consumer behavior, and then the innovation of retailing and the internet services. So the international marketing and the market entry strategy and the market data application for digital transformation. So Dr. Tai will give us a 25-minute speech at the topic of the development of e-commerce in Taiwan and the business response and strategy. Now let's welcome Dr. Tai. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, James, our moderator, and also welcome everyone.
Welcome.
Let me share my slide. Wait. Okay. Can everyone see my screen well?
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Now, today I'm going to have a brief talk on the development of e-commerce in Taiwan, and also we'll talk about business response and strategies. Wait. Okay. And we have 3 parts to cover today. The first part will be the overview of e-commerce market in Taiwan, and also the second part will discuss briefly about the impact of COVID-19 in Taiwan, and also the last part will talk about business strategies. First, in Taiwan, these statistics is conducted by our Department of the Statistics in MOEA, Ministries of Economic Affairs. This you can see the bar. The bar shows the total retail sales in Taiwan, and also the physical sales, and also the internet sales. So you can see that the physical store total stores reach to total revenue of retail sales reach to about 10,000 billion USD. That's roughly translate to 340 USD billion in USD. And then the internet sales about 9% of it, around 919 billion and New Taiwan dollar in sales. That's about 9% in 2021 last year. But I know that in the bottom of last year, the percentage already, the penetration rate already breached 10%. And this shows the economic e-commerce penetration share of all sales transactions. This number conducted by We Are Social. I use the statistics number from their digital report. It's because they conduct the same research methodology across over 150 countries around the world, so that we can compare Taiwan's number with other countries under the same standard and definition. So you will see that the penetration rate here stay in 2020 about 9% in Taiwan. That's ranked about number, I believe, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 around the world. And the highest penetration rate in 2020 is Denmark. Countries in the North Europe countries, that in 2021, probably the same during the past 2 years. So in Taiwan, the total value of B2C e-commerce is about 27 billion USD. This one is in USD. So that's pretty much the same, approximately the same with the statistic number we see in the last slide. And then the growth rate is 13%, and then the all the e-commerce spend, it's about the 70% of all the retail spend, the penetration rate share in retail B2C mode. Okay, you will see that the next slide is the m-commerce. Our speaker from Thailand talked about mobile shopping. So the mobile commerce in Taiwan, it's the penetration rate is almost 60% of all the people actually buy things from mobile devices. That is also ranked number 8 around the world. You will see our friends from Thailand and also Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia are the top 5 around the world. And then mobile share of all e-commerce transaction value is 40% in Taiwan. People spend around 1,800 USD per year on e-commerce. Okay, let's compare Taiwan's e-commerce environment with the world standard. You will see on the top of our slide is with the Taiwan's number, and then you will see on the bottom is the world standard. So pretty much no surprise that Taiwan, the number are what consumers spend on the internet is pretty much close to the world standard, except that compared with the world standard, Taiwanese actually watch less television and actually use more internet. That's because our youngsters actually watch television over the internet, actually. Then Taiwan's e-commerce is very booming and also very well developed, thanks to our robust infrastructure and also development environment. So you will see that our internet or e-commerce penetration rate is actually around top 10. So the environment includes that we have a cloud service for invoice, and also we have a very efficient and cost-effective logistics system. And that actually, thanks to the quality of our delivery service company, also one very distinguished factor is our convenience stores. For many of you who haven't come to Taiwan yet, if you ever visit Taiwan, you will see that convenience store is a very important, very distinguished factor in Taiwan, because we don't have actually grocery store here. We have convenience store. The big difference between grocery store and a convenience store is that grocery store is the small stores that you can buy things there around your street corner. But convenience store, actually, you can do much more than just buy things. That's why we call it convenience store. You can do your laundry there. You can develop your photo there. You can pay your bill there, and also you can pretty much do everything there. So the convenience store actually act as a pickup location for e-commerce products. And because convenience store is so much intensive in Taiwan, everybody can find a convenience store around their corner, under their residence or office building. So the e-commerce products can be just delivered to the convenience store and wait for consumer to pick up there. So that's why at the delivery service, the cost is largely dropped, and because we have this infrastructure there. And then I know that like in Singapore, they have seen posts that offer the self pickup machine or the site there, and then that is not necessary, or that is not less popular in Taiwan, because consumers can just pick up their packages in a convenience store around the corner. So we also have a very different various kind of online payment methods. So that's help the e-commerce develop as well. Okay, the ecosystem here, we have B2B, B2C, B2B2B, and also all kinds of business model here. I list down the prominent companies under different business model here. So you will see that most of them are local or home business, except that you will see in the C2C area, the Carousel and also Shopee is from Singapore. And also under the B2B2C model, you have Rakuten there, it's from Japan. And otherwise, they are all local platforms or brands. And we have the online payment services. We have only Lightpay. We have a Lightbank here. So Light is from Japan or Korea, Japan actually. And then the logistics service are all local companies. And the major B2C players in Taiwan are, we summarize here in this chart. And then you will see that the top three, actually all of them are in, almost all of them are local business. We list out only B2C. It's because that the transaction value of C2C or B2B2C is very difficult to survey. So B2C has more certain merchandise gross value. So that's why we only rank this business model here. So the number one is Momo, and number two is PC Home, and the number three player is ET Mall. All these three, top three, including Yahoo, number four, they all have double-digit growth in the past 2 years. And then we come to the shopping behavior here in Taiwan. Again, I use the Taiwan's number to compare with the world standard. So on the top half of the slide, you will see Taiwan's number there, and then compare with the bottom of the slide is the world average. You will see that all the number are no surprise. Taiwan is a bit higher than the world standard in the search online or the purchase online or everything. But it's good, except one thing is I actually highlight that. It's under the category of visit an online retail store on the web. Taiwan consumers actually visit less than world standard. 90% of all the consumers around the world visit online stores, but not Taiwanese. We have only 77%. That is because the definition of online retail store means the brand stores, not the e-commerce platform or e-commerce marketplaces. Taiwan consumers prefer to shop on e-commerce marketplaces rather than to visit individual brand retail store. So that is a bit different with from the world standard. Also, I believe that's different from what our Thailand speaker talk about. In Thailand, all the e-tailers are more like this online retail store. E-tailers are about 40% of all the transactions. Actually, the social commerce come next. The marketplace is actually not so much in Vietnam. So in Taiwan, the marketplace or the e-commerce platform actually sell the most e-commerce transactions. Okay. And then on the weekly online shopping activities, we'll see Taiwan consumers spend a lot of time or the percentage of all consumers actually over like 30% of consumer actually buy grocery over online, and that you will see more clearly on the product categories. You will see that on the food categories in Taiwan actually have a highest growth rate of 80%, 38% of growth rate compared with last year. So that is, of course, the effect of COVID-19. We'll discuss that later. You will see more numbers. And when it comes to the purchase drivers online, you will see that the number one purchase drivers online is actually free delivery. It's not to say that you have to offer free delivery in Taiwan. It's more like a free delivery is already the standard service in Taiwan. You have to have. Businesses have to offer free delivery in Taiwan. Otherwise, people will not, consumers will not even consider to buy from you. And actually, I see that our speaker Larry from Vietnam actually talk about the same thing, that Tiki in Vietnam already offer a 2-hour of fast delivery in Vietnam. That's the same in Taiwan. Consumers consider not just free delivery, they want fast delivery. So in Taiwan, the top 3 e-commerce platform like Momo or PC Home, they already offer a 6-hour delivery service in the metropolitan area. Okay, that's about the overview of e-commerce in Taiwan. And then we come to the second part, the impact of COVID-19. The first one I want to point out is COVID-19. Actually, we see the same report from Vietnam, from Thailand, from across the world, report that the COVID-19 as an accelerator for consumers to adopt e-commerce. But not just like that. In Taiwan, the other thing that has been accelerated is the food delivery service. That is the number one thing that actually COVID-19 changed e-commerce here. That this is a Google survey last year on Taiwan consumers. That over 84% of shoppers start to try new e-commerce fulfillment mode during COVID-19. That include the food delivery, the store pickup. The store pickup actually refer to the fresh food e-commerce, or the or you can see agriculture, agri-food e-commerce, to try the store pickup service, and also to-door delivery, also fresh food delivery. These are all we see the most growth or the new adopters during COVID-19. That also has something to do with the lockdown. When our Larry talked about that, when you lock down, people cannot go out to buy food, so they start to use food delivery. And the second, and another thing that worth of notice is that the food delivery service like Uber Eats or Foodpanda in Taiwan actually solve the last mile delivery problem to supermarkets or hypermarkets here. So that in times before COVID-19, the supermarkets here like Carrefour or the convenience store like 7-Eleven, they all try to do their e-commerce website. They'll try to sell to consumers through e-commerce, but they have a very high cost in the two-door delivery system because businesses like Carrefour, their logistics system is built around the stores. They don't have a two-door logistics system in place. So for them, for supermarkets or hypermarkets, for them to build up that last mile delivery service is very costly. But thanks to COVID-19, Taiwanese consumers start to use the food delivery service. So now they can, like Carrefour, they can cooperate with Foodpanda already to use Foodpanda service to deliver their fresh food product to the consumer stores. Okay. And then so this one to show you the trend of the online retail also compare with the total retail. You will see in the orange line is the growth rate in the past 3 years, past 4 years about the total retail growth. It's really flat. During the COVID-19, like the 2020 year of 2020 actually dropped to pretty much no growth. But contrast to that flat curve, you will see the online retail in the yellow line. That's actually double-digit growth every year. And in the year of 2021, the online retail sales reached the highest record high, with 24.5% of increase. So that's why I say that the penetration rate of e-commerce through all the retail value is pretty much over 10% already. During COVID-19, this is another survey conducted by Kantar, actually asked consumers the change of their shopping behavior during COVID-19 in Taiwan. So over half of the consumer will spend more online, and also the new adopters of online shopping is those group who are over 40 years old. That makes sense because those consumer, those demographics are not so keen to do to shop online compared with youngsters, young group, but they are forced or they are accelerated during COVID-19. And then of those people over 40 years old, you can already see on the bottom that their family structure is they have kids, small kids under 12 years old, or they live with their parents, with family members who have elders over 65 years. And then the survey also asked if your habit of online shopping will continue after COVID-19. Actually, over 70% of all the respondents say that they will continue to keep this shopping online behavior after COVID-19. And then in the COVID-19, actually, no surprise that people spend more on food and grocery category, and also the home and decoration because you stay home for longer hours of time. And then we see this trend around the world. So all the major countries around the world report that they will spend more on online shopping, and also the categories that attract the most online shopping revenue or spending is food, home related, and also personal care. Okay, now I don't have much time left, so I'll briefly discuss how business responds to this COVID-19 impact here. The first strategy is that now is the time that for e-commerce for every business. For every business, no matter what kind of business you are in retailing, you are in branding, you are manufacturers, or you are service, you want to consider your omni-channel already. So it cannot avoid e-commerce anymore. Furthermore, you cannot only consider the multi-channel or the channel conflict issue like the old times in marketing textbook. Now you want to consider the consumer-centric model of omni-channel strategy, that you try to surround consumers with your social media, your mobile presence, your web information, and also your physical or online shop. The second strategy is that now business want to consider the e-commerce for everyone. For everyone, I mean that a more inclusive e-commerce model. In the past few years, we see a lot of demographics, as I showed you earlier, that the new entrants or the new adopters of e-commerce in Taiwan are people over 40 years old. This kind of demographic people, they have small kids or they have elder parents. And so for these kind of new adopters, they have different needs, or they want different e-commerce services from e-commerce platforms or stores. For example, they want easier shopping. They don't want to see a lot of KOL or celebrities to dance or talk about jokes or something. Like you saw the social commerce slide in Larry's presentation. They don't want that's for young people. They want your interface to be easier and also most efficient. And also they want a trusted service, that meaning that if they want to ask about the products, that they can find people to ask. So that's what I call an inclusive e-commerce. So that when you start to run your e-commerce business, do not just think about to sell these products or services for young people. You will start to think that these people that need your service are more like they have much more different service needs. And then that's why I'm saying that in the last few points that people over 40, consumer over 40, they want a more friendly interface. They want more product category, not just fashion, cosmetics, or these are for young people. So you should include more product categories like healthcare, like family-related kind of product or services. And also, the last one is more surrogate services. What is surrogate services? Remember, people over 40, they have old parents. Like their parents are like 60 or 70 years old. During lockdown, they cannot buy daily supplies for their parents. So that's why they want the e-commerce business to help them, to provide them this kind of surrogate services that deliver these daily supply products to their parents' home. So this is all the things that the e-commerce platforms or marketplace should consider when they face the new e-commerce world after COVID-19, a more inclusive e-commerce business model. And the last strategy is after COVID-19, we'll reconsider or rethink, revisit the value of e-commerce. Just like Larry in Vietnam talked about, without e-commerce, during the lockdown, people cannot even live or without e-commerce. So e-commerce actually is not just economic consideration. It is actually a very important part of social resilience. E-commerce is the infrastructure that keeps people and society functional, keep life normal under COVID-19. So it is essential for all the countries around the world to build their e-commerce system as part of their social society resilience structure. And when you think about e-commerce, actually, when I talk about e-commerce, really I talk about the category that actually we see the highest growth during COVID-19, which is food. Food in e-commerce actually is delivered by what you see in the screen on the left bottom. No, sorry, the right upper right. You will see that the food in e-commerce actually is delivered in a food basket form. This food basket is actually picked up and boxed by people in the left part. You will see that operator in the warehouse actually doing the pickup service for the consumers. So actually, you will see that the person there wear a very heavy coat and also the hat. It's because that the fresh food need to be stored under a 0 to 5 degrees Celsius cool environment to make them fresh. So this kind of environment is not suitable for actual people to work there for a long time. It was actually it's too cold. So the people work there will make a lot of error, make a lot of mistakes. So it's essential actually to deliver to develop some kind of machine pickup solution in the warehouse, particularly for fresh food product category. And then the fresh food is actually very difficult for machine or AI to read, because we as a human being, we can identify apple as easily as apple, we know. But you know that just meaning by apple, there are like 20 different kind of species of apple. They are all in different shape or in different color. So it's very difficult for machine to actually learn what is apple. So that is why I say that in this, when we talk about e-commerce as a part of society resilience, we talk about fresh food or agricultural product e-commerce. That is very essential for to keep society functional under COVID-19. And this fresh food e-commerce, we need better solutions in assortment, pickup service, warehousing service by machines, not by human. So this is actually my presentation today, and thank you for listening. We can discuss and answer your questions later in the QA session.
Okay, thanks to Dr. Tai for her excellent speech, introducing variety of e-commerce service, including B2B, B2C, C2C, B2B2C, and O2O, and so on. And also introducing the robust infrastructure in Taiwan. And also mentioned that the COVID-19 changed the shopping behavior. The 48% of shoppers use the new modes. So actually, I'm one of the name, we normally we organize the lunchbox meeting together, but now due to COVID-19, we can't be together. So we order the food by Foodpanda, such as Foodpanda, and send to all the attendees separately, but join the video conference together. So we still have a lunchbox meeting. So that's very interesting, and we can talk more at the panel discussion later. So we okay. So before we take in the break, I want to thank Nari and Dr. Tai for their great presentations. I also want to thank all the participants for your attention. So now let's back to Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. James. We will now enter a 10 minutes break. It is now 3:52 in Taiwan, so we're going to be back here at 4:02. In the meantime, feel free to leave a question or comment in the chat box. Our colleagues will continue to collect those questions and provide them to our moderator and speakers. So be sure to join us once more in a short while. Thank you. Welcome back to the webinar, and many thanks to the audience for all the questions and comments. We have collected quite a lot. I believe the panel discussion will be a very fruitful and interesting one. Let me pass the time back to our moderator, Mr. James. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jasper, and welcome back to the webinar for the panel discussion to further exchange viewpoints with our panelists. If you have any questions about the presentation for any of the panelists, please feel free to raise your questions now, and I will forward them to our panelists for you. My colleagues have collected questions sent to us earlier, and also the questions posted by participants at the chat box in the previous section. There are some very important questions that I'd like to invite our panelists to respond to these questions according to the questions addressing to them. The first question, I suppose, addressing to Woranath. Woranath, you mentioned about 7 things for manufacturers to consider when building up an e-commerce program. Do you have any advice for Taiwan manufacturers who are selling or plan to sell their products online to Thailand or other Southeast Asia markets? Woranath, please.
Thank you very much for your question, James. I think this question is really important point that we got asked a lot for our Taiwanese business. For our point of view, and also based on our survey, we think there are 2 important points that Taiwanese business can look at. The first one is, like I mentioned during my presentation, is about your product segmentation. Because for B2B, some products, such as something that require a lot of technology involvement, also some person that need to train or do the testing of the product, that kind of product might not be the thing that you would like to put or do it online. However, some product that Taiwanese business sell overseas, let's say for the auto parts or the some replacement part, we think that that kind of thing, you can do more than you can plan more to sell it online, not only rely on the sales in person. And the second part, we will add, when you look at the digital economy to B2B, we think the digital experience is also very important thing that you can do at the current point. What I mean is, it's not just only the thing that you put the catalog overseas. Some business now, we just put a lot of visualization. For example, you can record a video or do some 3D testing or some product testing that your clients in overseas market can look at your website and can get into more and get in touch with your business, even though they are not in Taiwan. And more thing that I would like to top up for my point is, it's not just only for the visualization itself. When you see to the market, when you want to sell to the market that they don't speak English, for example, Vietnam, Thailand, or many countries in Southeast Asia, we think that the local language on your website will impact a lot from the digital experience that consumer will get from you. So we advise that during the process of the presentation that I say, maybe you need to understand more about local requirement and some needs that you can put in the particular perception in your digital experience. That's all my question for this. That's all my answer for this question. Thank you, James.
Okay, many thanks to Woranath for her good advice. And then I have a question for Larry. Vietnam is a rising Asian factory. Can you introduce the current B2B e-commerce market and its potential in the future? Larry, please.
Okay. So for the B2B market, in my presentation, I talk a lot about B2C. That also give the information that B2C e-commerce is very potential. On the B2B side, in 2020, we record the market size was only 150 million compared to 11.8 billion of the total e-commerce. So so it plays a very small ratio. So the reason is that actually the merchant adapt to the technology quite slow in Vietnam, as I mentioned in the challenges. But the point when we mentioned about the number of merchants, last year on the e-commerce platform record that there was a big increase in amount of merchants. So we can say that the B2B market in Vietnam started very slow, but it has a lot of potential. Because when we have more merchants now goes online, they need a lot of aspects to support related to material, related to online solution that the other business can offer to them. So in Vietnam, as my observation, different from B2C, when the B2B platform, they will choose a more special segments to develop. For example, for the fashion, they will choose only the fashion categories to build the platforms to support the fashion sellers. Or the pharmacy, they will build only for pharma to support the local pharmacy. It means that we have a lot of category that is not deployed yet. So yes, we have a lot of room to grow on that. And also one success case for local company, that when the local company, for example, we have the Masan, the biggest retail company in Vietnam, that have around more than 1,000 stores in Vietnam, that only go for B2C. But when last year they start to B2B, that they use that material they support for the customer, now they switch that to support for the other smaller trader or business. So my conclusion is that yes, we have start very slow on the B2B, but in next few years there will be more booming and more merchants will realize that they need more solution and more support from the B2B side.
Thank you, Larry. As you mentioned, the slow of the B2B, was it because related to the people used to use cash on delivery? And any for the foreign companies in the Vietnamese market, do we have any recommendation?
So Mr. James, you mentioned about the difference between the local commodities and also the foreigners, right?
Yes.
Okay, so why the SKUs in Vietnam are more on the foreigners commodities? So firstly, if we compare some common category, for example, the fashions or the general merchandise in Vietnam, we can actually manufacture that, but compared to, for example, China's, the various of the SKU and also it is more trendy SKU, so that the sellers in Vietnam, they can prefer to import from other country and then resell in Vietnam. And also the price, it can be depends on the product, but mostly the product import from China, for example, can get a very competitive price if we can import the bigger quantity. And one more insight from Vietnam is that we have manufacturer here, but the amount of reseller is and it is also increasing based on the COVID-19. So
Sorry, Larry, are you there? Okay. Larry, are you there? Oh, sorry. Larry's connection lost. I believe he will come back soon. So next, I can have the question for the Dr. Tai firstly. So Dr. Tai, I have a question. So the Ministry of Digital Development will begin operating in July, Taiwan. So from a business perspective, what should be the priority agenda of the ministry to promote digital economy and the digital transformation? So Dr. Tai, please.
Yes. What the moderator mentioned the Ministry of Digital Development is a new ministry in Taiwan that was begin to operate in July. This is very, very new to Taiwan, and actually this ministry is more like a the Ministry of Digital Economy and Society in Thailand. Thailand had this ministry dedicated to digital economy and society 5 or 6 years ago in 2016. So for Taiwan, we have this new ministry established. Before this ministry, actually, we have this DigiPlus national policy here in Taiwan. DigiPlus the D-I-G-I stands for development for D, innovation for I, governance for G, and also inclusive for I. They actually stand for the 4 pillars of the national's policy on digital development. The D development stands for the development of infrastructure, so that stress on the enhance the bandwidth to strengthen the security, the infrastructure environment for digital development. And also innovation means the industry, innovation of startups for digital era services. And also governance stands for the open governance, the government's governance methodology for this nation need to be digitalized. And also inclusive, the last one, actually inclusive means we want to include more population and more citizens into the digital world. Okay, so following that, this new ministry actually will follow this DigiPlus national policy, and it's a very high-profile ministry. Actually, attract a lot of attention from the society. This ministry will have 2 major departments: the Department of Digital Security and also the Department of Digital Economy. So you can see that the Department of Digital Security actually elevate the cybersecurity up to the level of national security. And the most relevant part to the business is the Department of Digital Economy. The Department of Digital Economy actually have 2 major focus area. The one is the ICT industry that actually contain hardware, software, cloud service, infrastructure, etc. And also the second focal area is the digital service industry. The digital service industry will have key areas, covering key areas like retail service, that is the e-commerce we talk about, and also online entertainment, online education, content development, online game, online fintech. So the department's major duty is to foster industry innovation and startups, and to enhance the scale of service, and to globalize the service, and also particularly cultivate the business capability in the business model of platform economies. That is a brief introduction to this new ministry that we are all very long for. Okay.
Okay, Dr. Tai, thank you for your great answers. I have another question regarding Taiwan's new southbound policy.
Mhm.
The new southbound policy, we call NSP, has entered into its 6th year and will launch the version 2.0, reportedly to focus on digital economy. Do we have any advice on how the NSP can synergize with the development of the digital economy in Southeast Asia? Thank you.
Sure. I think that the audience all know in Taiwan, you must know the new southbound policy, NSP. We've been doing this policy for like 4 years already. And then SEA is actually one of the most attractive and fast-growing digital market around the world. You see the presentation from Thailand and also Vietnam already. They are the e-commerce and also other digital services are fast growing. So according to the research of Facebook, COVID-19 actually accelerated the digital adoption of SEA's 600 million populations. And according to their research, 85 of these 600 million of population already now are digital consumers. And the total e-commerce gross merchandise value actually doubled in 2020. And in SEA, that GMV actually reached 254 billion USD, doubled in last year. And actually, 38% of all the digital consumers in SEA actually have e-wallets or online payment. Taiwan already has a very close economic link with SEA countries. In the past, our manufacturers bring our factories and also manufacturing skills there to build a lot of industry park there. So we also have very close psychological and cultural link. So that's why our lifestyle and also our society structure, a lot of cultural elements are very similar. So that is the advantage for Taiwan's business to understand consumers in SEA countries. And also this new developed digital market for SEA for Taiwan, the business implication is that like we do in the past years of manufacturers, then our Taiwan's digital service platforms like PC Home, they established their Thai website there. Our startups, our digital service providers, we can now bring our engineers, our skills, and also our data experts to leverage the market size of SEA. And jointly, we can add our Taiwan skills and engineers with the digital market size with SEA. Combined together, I think that we can attract more international capital to invest this kind of new opportunities and business there.
Okay, Dr. Tai, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Larry, welcome back. Do you want to finish the answers for the question? Thank you.
Yes. First of all, I'm sorry for my connection for that. Okay, so I will continue again back to the questions that the difference between the local and imported commodities. So first of all, there are a lot of reseller in Vietnam. We also have the manufacturer, but because of COVID, when the growth of the e-commerce, many people start to sell online from home. So a lot of reseller, so they have a lot of choice to import the stuff from the overseas, for example, China. So depends on the categories, many categories, for example, fashions or general merchandise. The stuff from the foreigners usually more various and have the cheaper price.
Okay, seems Larry's connection has problem again. So never mind. I think we have many questions. I have one for the Woranath. So can you introduce more new policy or legislations enacted or to be implemented in Thailand, which may impact e-commerce in the future? Woranath, please.
Thank you for your question. I think this is really good question that our Taiwanese business and also foreign investor always ask when you want to go to new markets. Like I mentioned in my presentation, Thailand this year is really focused on the Thailand personal data regulation that is really new for the company in Thailand so far. However, I figured out that actually for many Taiwanese company or the foreign investor in their own country, for example, in Taiwan, we already developed this kind of thing for a long time ago. So I think for the Taiwanese business, I feel that they are really kind of well prepared for this kind of things. And the thing that I would like to emphasize more it might be the tax part, because for the digital services or the thing that we call e-commerce, in the global tax environment so far, all countries also talk about how can they tax the business that not located in their country. So I think this part, for the Thai tax authority, they also want to develop more, not just only for the VAT that I mentioned before, that more like you put the tax burden to the consumer. In the future, they might develop the same way as EU, that they might tax the business by the corporate income tax, which means it's not just only you can put the tax barrier to the consumer. You yourself, for the overseas company, might need to consider that you might need to pay some tax to the Thai government as well. And I would like to share a little bit more, not actually related to this question, but I really interesting for some part that Dr. Chai just mentioned about the human resources from Taiwan to Southeast Asia. I think this is very, very important part that I would like to emphasize for all digital economy business, especially for some business that you require a lot of talent that need to work with you. This is not just only the problem in Southeast Asia, but I would see as the opportunity for the Taiwanese business and also the Taiwanese talent, that I can see a lot of Taiwanese young talent go to Southeast Asia to work with the local companies there or bring our Taiwanese business expand because of the talent that they have, but Southeast Asian don't have. Southeast Asian do have really huge markets, as all we know, that bigger than Taiwan. But in some aspect, let's say for the technique part or the technology part, that Taiwan really kind of go beyond Southeast Asia. I think this is really good link, like Dr. Chai mentioned before, that it might be the good match for the two region and two market that we can grow bigger together. And this particular question or this challenge thing is not just only the problem. I would see as the opportunity for all of us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Woranath. Another question: any advice for foreign companies interested in exploring e-commerce in Thailand in the next few years?
Thank you. This question, I think, I will put it more on the legal parts, because I will say briefly, like in high level understanding. Maybe some of you already know that in some country in Southeast Asia, let's say Thailand, we do have the foreign business regulation, which means in some certain business activities, such as the service activities, you cannot have whole 100% foreign investment. That's why we always heard that you need to find local partner. However, I would like to mention that not so true, because many countries, including Thailand government as well, they have a lot of potential, let's say the investment promotion, that they allow a lot of foreign business to invest there with 100% investment. However, you need to take a look in more complicated of the application only. That means you need to go through applying some license or go through some process, but you can do it by yourself. That's what I always talk with my client, that you don't need to really kind of go more like in legal way, because in long-term perspective, I don't think it's really kind of good for the long run. At the start, if you do things right, it will be effective for your long-term achievement as well. And in some country that they might require some legal document, let's say the contracts that you have in the local language. I found out that many companies, they don't aware about that. So when they sign the contract with the local partners, also do the business there, they only put it in the English language. So somehow when they need to go to the court and have some legal issue, they cannot use the version that they have in the English language. I think that's a bit like tricky, that some country might accept it, some country might not accept it. So when you do this kind of new thing, I advise you go to the government authority that we have the resources now that they can access, or you find out the professional advisor like PwC or other advisor that you can trust, and they can help you to do the good start for your good long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Woranath. Thank you. So I have a question for Dr. Tai. In that regard, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the lifestyle in Asia a lot. According to this, will there be some new opportunities in e-commerce for Taiwanese companies in Southeast Asia. Dr. Tai, please.
Sorry, let me turn on my audio. When you talk about COVID-19 and its business opportunity, there's a lot. For example, like in the past 2 years, the PC Home Thai, our Taiwanese e-commerce platform in Thailand, actually sells like nearly 30 times of the facial mask there. So they actually bring facial masks from Taiwan to Thailand. And actually, the sales revenue just reached record high there. So COVID-19 actually bring a lot of e-commerce opportunities in South SEA countries. Like we see the medical devices, the facial mask, the food, and also fresh food services, all kinds of them. So we also see another very interesting part is that we have platforms or merchandisers actually sell cosmetics and also fashion there in Vietnam, also in Thailand. They actually experience a very big adjustment of the assortment they have. For example, like in cosmetics, people don't buy lipstick anymore because you wear a mask all the time. So instead, consumers want to highlight their eyes. So you see eyeshadows or eyebrows pens, not so much about lipsticks. So the merchandiser need to adjust their assortment. And also for the fashion, people don't buy suits or business attires anymore. They buy pajamas. So that's why because we all work from home anyway. So that's what I see in business opportunities during COVID-19 in SEA. And also when Miss Khemasiri, I think there must be people call you Miss Siri actually. That's a very, very good name.
Absolutely correct. I am Siri. You can call me like that.
Yeah. Miss Siri talk about restrictions or regulations of e-commerce business in Thailand. Actually, yes, Thailand has a national policy on investment incentive plans. Their BOI, Board of Investment, actually have a lot of plan that actually especially open to 100% foreign company. That you don't have to find local partners. There, if your company, your business is categorized as the area of digital economy or creative economy. Creative economy is another big national policy development there in Thailand. So we have Taiwanese e-commerce platform like Pinkoi. Actually, Pinkoi is eligible both as a digital economy, also a creative economy. So they actually established a wholly owned, 100% foreign owned subsidiary there. So yes, if you have a Taiwanese business who want to consult on the Thailand or other SEA countries regulations, you can find CDRI here. We actually help our business to establish their license or their business entity there in e-commerce. Okay.
So Dr. Tai, thank you. So this question, I think, is related. There's one question asked: how can Taiwan, like e-commerce platform, like a PC Home, develop a strategy to cooperate with the Thailand or Vietnam platform?
Yes.
Please,
actually, PC Home actually, PC Home Thai is PC Home's subsidiary in Thailand. So in Taiwan, the mother company called headquarters called PC Home. PC Home actually have different kind of entry strategy in different countries. Like in Thailand, they choose to establish their own subsidiary and own e-commerce business there called PC Home Thai. But in Vietnam, they choose to cooperate with Tiki so that they sort of like a supplier to Tiki that supply Tiki the quality brand name Taiwanese products to sell in Vietnam. So in Vietnam, the PCM doesn't have its own platform or marketplaces. They cooperate with Tiki. I believe they also cooperate in Indonesia with Blibli, and also in let's say in Singapore with Q10, and also in Malaysia with I always forget the name. But anyway, they have different kind of entry strategy for different country. They consider this kind of strategy because they consider market status of all different countries. Like in Thailand, platform is doable there because there are less. There is a big market there, but with less competition there. But like in Indonesia, the local king is too strong. so in Indonesia and also in Vietnam, they choose to cooperate with the local platform there. Right?
Thank you, Dr. Tai. I think Larry is back now, right? Larry.
Hello, Mr. James. Do you hear me?
Yes. Do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, for the last question, I also write a answer on the YouTube live stream already. So I think we can move to next questions.
Okay. So I think we still have several questions. I have a suggestion. How about we each panelist make a brief conclusion, and then we can end up the program. So you can see in the chat box the questions. So we can. May I have one to make the first brief conclusion? Woranath, please.
Okay. Yes. So the main point related to the foreign and the local. First one, the amount of reseller in Vietnam is very high. The second one, sorry, you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, Larry. I think the remaining time, because we don't have too much time now. We still have several questions. I make a suggestion. How about we have each panelist to make a brief conclusion for each, and then we can end up the program today. How do you think of it?
Okay. So you mean the conclusion of our presentation?
Yeah, so we make a brief ending of each panelist. So may I have a suggest one to make the first brief conclusion about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
So Woranath, please.
Okay. So
Woranath, please.
Sorry, Rally, maybe I'll be the first speaker first, and then maybe it's your turn. Then before I finish our presentation today, I would like to say a little bit more thing that actually I also have the nickname, because I think you all know that Thais, we have really long name. So my nickname is New and EW, just in case in the future we meet each other, you can call me as New, or Siri is also the new nickname that I would love to use in the future also. I think today our web seminar is very, very interesting point, and all the thing that Rally and also Dr. Chai say to me is also really the thing that I can share a lot of this topic and also the idea. So all companies that PwC serve in Southeast Asia and also India as well. And I view that this particular point, digital economy, is not just only we focus on e-commerce. From my understanding, Taiwanese business do have a lot of things that we can do in Southeast Asia for digital economy. Let's say for the payment platform or other like content or the online thing that we can do. And in Thailand, we develop a lot about Thailand smart cities, which means that all category in your lifestyle gonna change to digitalized version. So I see the opportunity that Thai government also looking for foreign investment and also foreign talent, like I mentioned before, to go to Thailand and do business with Thai And then me myself also respond for all Southeast Asian region. I also will in country like Vietnam, Indonesia, or Malaysia, like Dr. Shai mentioned before. They're also familiar with the Taiwanese business. So the culture and the thing that you can link up with the local market there, I think is the advantages for our Taiwanese business as well. Last but not least, I think the thing that I would like to emphasize more that for the new thing that you can go through, you need to consider for the risks and also the benefit that you can get. And if you need more resources and information, I think our web seminar for 2 days, we have a lot of speakers and also the resources from all parties that you can access. And perhaps you can drop your question and maybe future, we can have the more focus on each country. If you really want to know more, let's say the tax law and other things. So this is all my presentation and our sharing today. Thank you very much. I give the panel back to James. Thank you.
Thank you, Siri. Larry, are you there?
Yes, Mr. James.
Okay, great. So I think because you lots of connections, I think we still have 2 questions to ask you, and then my suggestion is how about you finish the answer of the 2 questions, then you make a brief conclusion. Okay.
Noted that.
Okay, so first question, you mentioned that 70% of commodities purchased by e-commerce are imported. Do import tariffs a problem or considerations because consumers may have to pay a higher price of those imported products? Larry, please.
Okay, so actually the price when we compare the local and import is not much different. Of course, we cannot take all the SKU and compare one by one, but the insight is that when a big distributor in Vietnam, they can actually import the very big quantity from other countries like China or Thailand or Taiwan, the price was much more cheaper. But one more thing is that the various of design from these SKU are more trendy than what we can actually manufacture in Vietnam. For example, the categories of fashion or general merchandise. So that's why the user and customer more prefer to purchase for the imported stuff. And that is for that questions.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Another question, if I want to do e-commerce business in Thailand or Vietnam, but I don't speak native languages, and I'm not familiar with the local law, with this, will this be a problem? Is it necessary to find a local partner? Please, thank you.
I think that it is better to have the great connections in the local, even though based on my observation, the people in Vietnam start to adapt to English very good now, especially the young generations. So I think that with English, actually the company in Taiwan start to expand the relationship in Vietnam. And in my personally, I also support one Taiwanese brand, and I believe he's here. His name is James from the Oma brand of Taiwan.
Sorry, we lost the Larry again. Never mind. I believe he will come back soon. So, excuse me. So, may I have Dr. Tai to make a brief conclusion? Dr. Tai, please.
Okay, no problem. I think that from today's presentation, we see that COVID-19's effect. And also we see that all the countries, including SEA, report that COVID-19 as an accelerator for consumers to go digital. And then I think that COVID-19 will not go away. The virus will live with us. So the trend of digital consumption or digitalization will not go away. It only accelerates more and more. So SEA already is the number 1 fast growing digital markets around the world. So I guess that today the consumption for Taiwanese business, we encourage Taiwan business to tap that kind of opportunity there. But to go further, I will also suggest that our government and also our business, not just to go to SEA countries to establish the e-commerce business there, but also to form or to build a kind of cooperation relationship of a joint joint startup there. The new business or startup business that combine Taiwan's engineer talents, engineer skills with SEA's market size. And then this kind of startups will actually attract a lot of attention from international capitals. We already see a very successful startup like Shopee from the SEA countries. Actually, you know that in Shopee's financial report, Taiwan is their #1 market. Taiwan actually is contribute over like 30% of their revenue. Actually, their #1 market is Taiwan. So that's what I'm saying, that combine Taiwan's advantage along with SEA countries' advantage, we can probably form a very big unicorn there with our business. So that's my conclusion today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tai. I have one more question from our participant. One ask to all panelists. I think you may answer first and then see any comment from the other two panelists. The question is, for other services close the link with e-commerce, such as payment services, logistics services, are there major barriers or restrictions for foreign companies which wish to invest in Thailand, Vietnam, or Taiwan? Dr. Tai, can you answer firstly the question?
Okay.
Thank you.
Me answer first, right? Okay. For the question in Taiwan, logistics service, we don't have any regulation there. So logistics service is a long existing industry before digital economy. So we have like Yamato transportation from Japan. We have Carry from Malaysia. They all operate very big in Taiwan. So for logistics service, no restriction. And for online payment service, if you are only the payment framework or app like Apple Pay, Apple Pay only is only an app. So they if you want to actually do the payment, you still need to use the credit card, right? So choose the credit card in the Apple Pay to do. So if you're only an app, there's no restriction, free to go, no problem. But if you want to do actual banking or transaction fulfillment, for example, like Line Pay actually want their Line Bank there as a payment solution embedded in their payment framework, Line Pay. So if you are going into the banking business, there will be that banking is actually a regulated industry here in Taiwan. So you need license to do that, and the license is very difficult. So that's my answer.
Okay, thank you. Larry, do you want to make any comment?
Yes, Mr. James. You hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes, what Dr. Tai say is actually accurate in Vietnam also. We are free to go with the wallet. Like, for example, we have the Shopee Pay, really have the big market share in Vietnam. But from the beginning, they also facing a problem related to license when related to the bank. But currently, they solving But my recommendation for the company to do the wallet also in Vietnam, there must be well planned, because the procedure for the license is not easy in Vietnam, and Shopee also took a lot of time to fix on that. And for the logistics side, there are many foreigners, like for example DHL, Ninja Van, they come to Vietnam. So the procedure of opening is not an issue, but actually the logistics side, the operation issue in Vietnam are more challenging, because the infrastructure, because of the human labor, and also the road here. So it makes also the lead time and cash on delivery also an issue. So this is the thing that we need to consider for logistic and wallet. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. So, Siri, do you want to make some comment? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sometimes I'm a bit nervous to talk after Dr. Shai and Rally, because I might have that informative answer, same as the two speaker. Okay, but however, I can share a lot of thing about Thailand, because I think it's really kind of different from Taiwan and Vietnam. Because in Thailand, no matter what, in Southeast, in logistics and also in service, we all have Foreign Investment Act, which means it's a restricted business for the foreign investment. However, like I mentioned before, Thailand is really trying to open up a lot with this part. That's why Thailand, the authority that we mentioned before, BOI, which also work with us a lot, they also give many incentives, including allow foreign investor to invest in these sectors recently. So I would not think it's a really big barrier for this particular topic. However, like Dr. Shah mentioned before, in some activities that you fall into the banking activities, you have to look at what is you really do regarding to the banking activity or the transactions. For example, you do the online payment, or you do like a bank, or you just provide any services, anything that fall out into the banking industry. Of course, you need to require the special license, which is same as Taiwan. It will be very hard to get one. But I see that it's not really restricted for all of this, because the details of the service for this part is really informative. So when we talk with this part with the authority, they will analyze and ask what you really do in Thailand. And they might not ask you to get some license, or they will ask. I think this will be the further discussion on case by case analysis, not really like overall picture that we can say yes or no. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Siri. Due to the time concern, I think we should come to an end now. I really thank you all for your participation, especially our three panelists, the organizer, CSI, CIER, and then the Ministry of Economic Affairs and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and also our co-sponsor, Asia Pacific Service Coalition. I sincerely appreciate your precious time, your attention, and your efforts to this two-day webinar, exchanging valuable information about the development and the trend of digital transformation and e-commerce in Southeast Asia and Taiwan. Definitely, we can learn a lot from this great event. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again, and I wish you all the best. Let me turn back to Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman James Liu, for moderating our webinar, and many thanks to our speakers for your wonderful presentation and discussion. We have come to the end of our webinar. So on behalf of TASC and CSI, I would like to thank each and every participant for joining us today. Kindly take a few minutes to fill in the post-event survey. Your suggestions and comments will greatly help us in our future events. It will be sent to you via email if you have registered with us prior to the webinar. You may also find a link to the survey in the chat box. And if you wish to receive news on our future events, please leave your contact info in the survey. There is also a link to download the presentation slides from our speakers today in the chat box. Also in the chat box are links to TASC and TWCSI's website. You're welcome to visit our websites for more information on ASEAN-related issues or maybe Taiwan service industries. 最后，请需要公务人员时数的与会朋友们，在意见调查表中务必填写完整的个人资料， 昨天和今天的意见调查表都需要各填一次。谢谢各位，期待我们下次相见。Thank you and hope to see you all again.
Bye.
you.